Origin Game 2, done and dusted. The New South Wales Blues getting the job done here, 38 points to 18 over the Queensland Maroons, and we will be going to Brisbane in 20 days' time for an Origin decider for 2024. How exciting. The rapid review of State of Origin Game 2 is brought to you by Neds. You can go and check out my Neds profile on the app, following with all my bets each and every weekend of the NRL season and for Origin 3 as well, which is going to be super exciting. As I said, guys, episode brought to you by Neds. Go and support the people that support us. Gamble responsibly as always. Now, the New South Wales Blues. I guess I will open. As you guys know, I am a New South Wales Blue. I absolutely love the Blues. I don't have an NRL team that I go for. So this is my big thing every single year. And that was one of the more enjoyable games of football I've watched in quite some time. And look, I really enjoyed game one, to be honest with you. As much as everything was sunk after 7 minutes or whatever it might be, I thought that they showed a lot of ticker. And in this game, I just thought the Blues were incredible. I think that Mitch Moses, we'll talk about him soon. He was my best on ground by a country mile. I think that that is the best game of football I've seen Mitch Moses play in quite some time. It is, without a doubt, the best game of football I've seen Mitch Moses play on a big stage. And I was the first one to question Mitch Moses a couple of years ago about how he would go on the big stages. I've written off Parramatta on a number of occasions because I don't think they can do it on those big stages. But I've seen a real shift in Mitch Moses over the last few years, to the point, you know, even before game one, I was pretty vocal in the studio here on our episodes and whatnot, saying that, you know, kind of regardless of what happens in game one, I wanted Mitch Moses to be my halfback in game two. And tonight's why. He has just matured so much, Mitch Moses. I remember watching him play for Balmain when he was coming through the juniors and whatnot. Very, very impressive. A very high-end talent. Junior footy was just too easy for Mitch. Got to first grade at the West Tigers, and, you know, life wasn't easy. He got targeted quite a bit defensively. Probably wasn't quite up to it just yet. Obviously made the move to the Parramatta Eels, which was a very, very controversial one. He copped a lot of shit for that. Even once arriving at Parramatta, he was copping it left, right and centre, Mitchy Moses. And, you know, it wasn't that long ago that Mitch Moses was asking, you know, like a front page stuff about him wanting $1 million per season, and people just thought it was absolutely outrageous. And at the time, I was probably one of them, but you look back in hindsight and you just go, my God, when you look at where this guy is at now and the sort of footballer he is in 2024, and especially after that game, very hard to deny with Mitch Moses where he's at. Very impressive. You know, other standouts for me, I thought, and Mitch Moses will get all the attention as he should. He was the best on ground. I thought Jerome Luai was unreal. I thought his kicking game early was fantastic. I thought the way that he utilised his left edge was brilliant. I thought that the moments where he did come off his left foot, which was a big worry for me heading into this game, I thought he just picked his moments perfectly, Jerome Luai. Had a poor defensive play on the Jeremiah Nanai try, no doubt in that, but I just thought the rest of it was fantastic. I thought his kicking game, when he had to put in his short kicks, he nailed them. He just pulled the right rein each and every time. He never overplayed his hand, Jerome. I thought he was brilliant. Once again, Mitch Moses will get all of the accolades, as he should. Mitch Moses was the best on the ground. But I just thought Jerome Luai had a cracker. I thought Dylan Edwards was very good. Obviously scored a try on debut, a little bit overshadowed by the halves in this game. But he still ran for his 200-odd metres, got through a heap of work, was very, very good. Zach Lomax, just see him score another try like that. He is just a freak. And when we sat down a couple of weeks ago and picked our New South Wales sides, I understood at the time why the boys didn't have him in their side. I know a lot of people didn't have Zach Lomax in their side just because they were worried about him throwing that shit offload or coming up with that poor play. He hasn't done it at all in this Origin series so far. He has just ticked every box you needed to. He only ran for about 100 odd metres in this game, but you know, normally where he gets all of his meters is coming out of his own end. They really didn't have to come out of their own end all that much, Zach Lomax. So in this game, when he got his opportunity, he took it with both hands. Mitch Moses, another brilliant play. The kicking game of Mitch Moses cannot be denied. Just put it up for him. And I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, but Zach Lomax, to me, you see guys nowadays, the ball goes up and they all chase through and they kind of contest for it. And sometimes I feel like guys just go up without the actual intent of thinking, I'm going to try and catch this football. It's just, we'll get up, it'll bounce, I'll get a knockback, we'll see what happens. And I hate the amount of players that get up and they win the contest in the air and they try and hit it back. Zach Lomax, he sprints through, he gets there 100 miles an hour and he gets there and goes, I'm coming down with this fucking football. No one else is getting this football outside of me. And that's 2 Origin games in a row now where he's done that. And the last time we saw do that realistically, it was Israel Folau and some of the freakish things that he used to do to break our hearts. I know mine in particular. Constantly, I think it was '08, he came up with a freakish put down, jumping over the head of Anthony Quinn. Just unbelievable what Zach Lomax is doing at the moment and how he has just fit straight into the Origin arena. It's fit him like a glove, and he just looks so at home. He looks so confident. I'll tell you what, if you're a Parramatta fan watching your halfback Mitch Moses put up a kick to Zach Lomax in that sort of fashion, my God, you're excited for next year. I thought the man inside Zach Lomax was fantastic as well, Stephen Crichton. Had some very, very big plays in this game. The intercept was absolutely off its head. There was a few times in the second half where Hamiso and Murray Tuolangi got the best of him. But for the most part, I thought Critter was sensational. And just the energy he brings is just second to none. The centre on the other side, Latrell Mitchell. Holy. I think the word that Joey used during the game was presence. And it's spot on. He just, and I pointed out before the game, and to be fair, I don't think Queensland ever really got into their grind to execute any game plans of trying to put Latrell in repeat efforts, but everything he had to do tonight, he ticked every single box. He did everything he needed to do. He was aggressive. He didn't overplay his hand. When he had his opportunities to pull the trigger, he did. Set up a brilliant try for Brian To'o with a lovely little flick pass. Really nice play there by the New South Wales Blues. Scored his own try a little bit later, Latrell. He didn't have to do a million hit-ups coming out of his own end. It wasn't that sort of game, so it didn't really matter. But we didn't need that from Latrell either. He's a Ferrari that sits out there, and when his opportunity comes, we need him to take it. And he certainly did. He was fantastic, Latrell Mitchell. And you just saw the energy when he scored that try and kicked the ball into the crowd. I just thought, I'm actually not, which try was it? How far into the game was it? It was the fifth try. So it was in the 32nd minute. But it was, as soon as I saw that happen, I saw him boot that ball into the crowd in his face. It just this soothing relief through him. He just went, okay, we're okay now. We're good. He was fantastic, Latrell Mitchell. I thought late in the game where he put that tackle on Reece Walsh, threw him to the ground, didn't break any rules, and then just dropped on him. You love to see it. I'm just so happy with Latrell's performance. And, if we are going to go up there to Suncorp and win Game 3, we're going to need Latrell at his absolute best. We're going to need a fired-up Latrell. We're going to need a Latrell that's probably willing to push the envelope a little bit, a Latrell that's willing to take risks, and a Latrell that comes in with a massive ego. And that's what we need. I spoke about that during the week when it comes to Mitch Moses and Latrell Mitchell, that the beauty of these two. I think quite often when you talk about ego, there's a negative connotation to it. For me, the ego that these two have is what drove them tonight to those two fantastic performances. And I love that Latrell's got that in his game. Is it going to win him every single game of football? No, it's not. And if you want to sit there and point out his downfalls and point out when he hasn't won games or when he hasn't performed in big games, sure, do your fucking thing. But more often than not, Latrell stands and delivers on big stages. He does all the talking pre-game and everything, which shits a lot of people, which fair, whatever, each to their own. But he doesn't hide away from it. And he went at Queensland tonight and he was tremendous. I thought in defence he was really, really good. I thought that it was a spot where they could execute and catch him out a little bit. And early, Reece Walsh down on those edges looked electrifying. But he answered every question that was put to him, Latrell. He was very, very good. Brian To'o, 2 tries, 200 run meters, just did the same shit he always does. Felt like he broke 8 or 9 tackles in that game. Get the exact stats up for you guys. I'm not talking out of my ass. How many tackle breaks did Brian To'o have? He had only 5 tackle breaks. It felt like more. But yeah, he was very strong, Brian To'o, very good. The halves, look, we've spoken about it already, and I mentioned it in my Instagram thing before, and people go, oh, that's fucking stupid. Whatever, that's fine. I thought that was Mitch Moses, and I thought just as a New South Wales halfback, I thought that was probably the best performance by a halfback since Joey in 05. And there's been some good ones over the time. Nathan Cleary, I think it was over there in Perth where he had a huge game. I think, obviously Trent Hodkinson in 2014. There's been some big games by halfbacks, but I just thought that game was just complete. There was a kick that Mitch Moses did in about the 60th minute that was probably at the wrong time. It was a little bit short. And I remember thinking, fuck Mitch, because he'd set such a high bar for himself the entire game. That to see him not put in a kick that wasn't perfect was just wild. There was even, it was a set after points where he just bombed it to the corner, and, Queensland didn't get a paw on it. They let it bounce, which was, first of all, credit to the kick, obviously, but then just found touch and meter out, and it's just like, fuck. Like when you got a set after points and you're able to turn the ball over a scrum 10 metres out from their line, it's just perfect halfback play. And he just, you just see, I think it was especially on the Dylan Edwards try, if you go and watch it from the wide shot, you just see the way that he's dictating terms. Everyone knows where they have to be at all moments because of Mitch Moses. And that was the difference for me in game one, where it was a bit hard to tell who really had ownership of the team. Was it Nicho Hines' team? Was it Jerome Luai's team? Was it Teddy's team? It was a bit hard to tell. There was no doubt whatsoever who owned that New South Wales team tonight. It was Mitch Moses, and I just love the accountability he took in, how he just put the team on his back, as halfback should, and said, this is my team, and they're going to play my fucking style of football. You're going to be where I need you to be. You're going to do what you're told, and we're going to win this game of football. And I'm going to kick us into a position to win this game, and he certainly did that. Yeah, and look, I said it before game one. I said it after game one. I don't think Nicho Hines could have had that performance, and that's nothing against Nicho. People think that I don't like Nicho. I absolutely love Nicho. I think he's so good for our game, but I don't think right now he is anywhere near a complete halfback, nor should he be. He's played 3 seasons there. You need to keep that in mind. Mitch Moses has been a halfback. He's been criticised as a halfback. He's been playing as a halfback. It is an art that you need to learn, and Mitch Moses, he has been sorting out that art for the last 10, 15 years, and now you're finally starting to see the finished product. The kicking game, when you compare the kicking game, even if you want to just take the first 5 or 6 minutes of game one, when it was 13-on-13 before everything went to shit, compare the kicking games of Nicho Hines in that game to Mitch Moses. It's, outside of the kick that Nicho Hines did to Zach Lomax in game one, I don't think you could put any of the kicks Nicho Hines did in that game anywhere near the top 5 or 6 of Mitch Moses, and just choosing the right kicks for the right moments, and that comes with experience as being a halfback, which Nicho will get eventually. He just can't compete with Mitch Moses right now. And even looking into the future for the New South Wales Blues, honestly, I know that obviously you can go with the Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai halves partnership, and I'm sure that can be successful. It hasn't been over the last few seasons. Man, is Mitch Moses at 7 and just letting Nathan Cleary play his game at 5'8"? Is that potentially the way that you could go here? Is Mitch Moses the best guy to dictate terms and organise his team, and Nathan can just play eyes up and just do his things, playing short sides and whatnot? Potentially it's the way to go. I think it is something that Michael Maguire will seriously need to consider heading into the future. Put up a reel the other day about Mitch Moses saying how this is a huge moment in his career, because if he comes out with a dominant performance in this game, I don't care who's available for game 3, he's the fucking halfback. And that has played out, and like Nathan Cleary could come out the next 2 games and get man of the match for Penrith. I'm sorry, maybe you can chuck him at 5'8" if you want. But Mitch Moses has to be the halfback in game 3. And if he goes up there to Suncorp and has a performance like that and wins this Origin series, it's his jersey. It's his jersey to lose. It won't really matter to me what Nathan Cleary does at the start of next season. It won't matter to me how it's all playing out. Mitch Moses has come in when we're down 1-0, had a man of the match performance, one of the most dominant performances by a halfback we've ever seen in Sky Blue. And if he goes up to Suncorp and manages to do it again, it's his jersey and he's the halfback. And people might not like that, and that's fine, and you might laugh at it, but that's how it works. If you come in at 7 and you win a game of football like that and you're as dominant as Mitch Moses was, you're the halfback. It's your team. It's your jersey. So, yeah, really interesting couple of weeks for Mitch Moses. Hopefully he stays injury-free. Hopefully he's all good. He obviously carried a foot injury into that game. That's why he wasn't goal kicking. By the way, whilst we're on that, Zach Lomax, fucking Hazem Masri is back. He was just hitting him from all over the place, Lomax. Just the way he was striking him, 5 from 7, still missed 2 goals. But some of those strikes, especially from the left touchline, he was incredible, Zach Lomax. Let's get into some of the pigs. Let's talk about the forward pack. We've spoken about the backs a lot. For me, Payne Haas is yet to have a game in State of Origin where you've sat back and you've gone, oh, okay, this is his arena. This guy's made for this arena now. I feel like he turned that corner tonight. I feel like it was very evident by about the 5-minute mark that Payne Haas was on and he was ready to go. And I thought he was tremendous in this game. He was just so strong in contact. 193 run meters in State of Origin. That is crazy. That's in 54 minutes, 193 run meters. And I understand New South Wales were dominating 100%, but I'll give you the hot tip. A lot of that comes off your alpha front row forward. And he was fantastic in this one, Payne Haas. I think it was 30 tackles, 0 missed or something, 31 tackles, 0 missed. He was unreal, Payne Haas. Very, very good performance. Angus Crichton was amazing. He was our little smoky for man of the match at 41-1 with Neds. I think he was probably the second best on the field. There was no denying Mitch Moses in this game. But Angus Crichton, he was immense. His running game down that edge, he obviously set up the try for Trell Met. But just the way he went at them all game, the shot he put on Val Holmes. I loved when he put that shot on Val Holmes. He stood up and Ruben Cotter charged in and he just went fuck off and palmed him in the face, sort of laughed at him. Sometimes I do feel like as New South Welshmen, at times we have too much respect for Queensland because of what they've achieved and what they've done. And I love those moments tonight where they just went, no, fuck you. Fuck you. We're here to come back and win this game of football. We're here to come back and win this series. And whether it plays out like that, I don't know. But I just love the attitude from New South Wales. Even in game one, when they were down to 12 and they were given no hope to win that game, they still stood up and they delivered. I thought Liam Martin obviously scored the first try, which was fantastic. Come up with a couple of big shots in this game. Obviously got sin bin, which, you know what? I hate that we're sin binning guys for stuff like that. But if you are going to sin bin guys for that sort of stuff, you sin bin one from each side. So I do give the refs credit on that front. I don't like that you're getting sin bin for that stuff. I get why they're doing it. And if you're going to do it, you send one from each team. So it's still even Steven realistically. Liam Martin thought he was very good. Cam Murray, I cannot believe that human that I watched play tonight, 63 minutes of Origin football. I cannot believe that coming to this game, he'd played 50 minutes in the last 2 to 3 months. The guy's an absolute freak, Cam Murray, and he's a born leader. I'm not sure how much longer Jake Trbojevic plays for the New South Wales Blues, how long he will be selected for. He's the current captain, and I think it is a good choice. The New South Wales Blues have had fantastic leadership. They've got a fantastic attitude throughout this series. Gerbo's obviously doing something right. But Cam Murray, he is the next captain, and I cannot wait to watch him and Pat Carrigan go head-to-head for the next 10 years as Origin captains. It's going to be unreal. I'm so happy that Cam Murray is a New South Welshman. I said it during the week. People said, are you concerned about him playing big minutes? And I said, you know what, if he had to play 80, maybe I'd be a little bit concerned, but he's just different gravy, Cam Murray. He is an out-and-out Origin player, and he showed that again tonight. He was tremendous. The leg speed that guy has, the quick play the ball, the way that he manages to just maneuver his body between the A and B defender each and every time. It's ridiculous. And you can't always measure what Cam Murray does on stats and Supercoach and all that sort of shit. But just when you just eyeball him, you just go, my God, the motor on this guy and the way that he positions himself, the way that he always finds his front, the way that he always gets a quick play the ball, the way that they can always play off the back of him. He had a couple of good hands in tries there as well, where he just pulled the right rein. And, people have been critical over the years of, Isaiah Yeo playing in that jersey 13, him coming off the bench as a middle forward looked a lot better, showed a lot of experience as well. Isaiah Yeo, and I think he's a fantastic guy to have in this squad. But I think Cam Murray in jersey 13 is probably the way to go. And I think if you're going to go up to Brisbane in game 3 and give it a real shake, I think he does have to be the 13. Hopefully all these boys can stay injury-free. Reece Robson did his job, obviously came for a spell late. They put Connor Watson on there. And look, you know what, Reece Robson, he didn't have to do a heap. I think he had a handful of runs, not too many, 3 runs, for 32 metres. But he just, it was the sort of game that was dominated by the halfback, and all Reece Robson had to do was give good service, get the ball to Mitch when he needed it, and just good service to his forwards, and he did it all night. I imagine he would have got through a fair whack of tackles in this game. Only 26 tackles to be fair, but they had so much ball, that doesn't overly shock me. But Reece Robson, he wasn't like a standout. He wouldn't have picked up Dally M points or anything for that game, but he did what he had to do, and sometimes as a hooker, that's all you have to do. If your halfback's got the hot hand, you get your forwards around, you get him on the front foot, and when he calls the strike play, you get the ball to him, and Reece Robson did that tonight, so credit to him. The bench, obviously these guys didn't play huge minutes, I think because it was so dominant. Connor Watson came on late. Fantastic to see Connor out there. That was unreal. Olakau'atu came on, played a little bit on the right edge and whatnot. Didn't have to do too much. Olakau'atu only played, 19 minutes. He was solid, didn't really break it open though. I feel like we've still got a lot more to get from Olakau'atu, but it does take time with guys in the Origin arena. Spencer Leniu, I thought he'd play a little bit more this game. Played 28, so like 30-odd minutes, but it was a big 30 minutes. It was a big 30 minutes. 6 runs for 83 metres. Doesn't read all that impressively, but there was one run that he took where he burst through. Did he get a line break for that? He fucking should have. He better have. Yeah, he got a line break for that. You know what I love when he made that line break? And Spencer Leniu, you know, he's got a bit of a reputation as a bit of a hothead and whatnot. He went through and there was guys in sport, but there was Queenslanders around. Spencer Leniu just went, nah, I've got the advantage here. I get to my front. I get a quick play of the ball and then we go from there. And I think they did score off that next play. And there was a few times that happened. There was once that Stephen Crichton actually threw a really shit offload in about the 4th or 5th minute. And after that, there was a few times where he got into space, just took it to ground. It was just they were a team that was in sync. They were a team that was just in control the entire time. There was little moments like that where I feel like previously we would have gone for the crazy offload or done something wild. Spencer Leniu just knew, nah, we've got these guys on the ropes. I've got us an advantage here. I get to my front, I play the ball, and I trust my teammates to finish this job off. And he was fantastic. Isaiah Yeo, he obviously played more minutes as we expected, 48 minutes coming off the bench. 13 runs, 111 metres, 22 tackles, 0 missed. All we really needed from Isaiah Yeo in this game. I did really like that Cam Murray was sort of holding the reins as that link man. But I do still think as well that we've played a halfback dominated game, and I spoke about this during the week on Bloke in a Bar, that you don't have to play this strict. You need a ball playing 13. You need a link man. If you've got a dominant halfback that can dictate terms like the Blues do, I think it's great to get like one man wider at times in shape. And there was a few tries. The first try that Mitch Moses put Liam Martin over is obviously one wide out the back of Cam Murray, which was fantastic. But a lot of the time I felt like Mitch Moses, he was just in control and he just dictated terms, and I thought that Cam Murray picked his moments really well. I think that in previous years, maybe Isaiah Yeo's overplayed his hand a little bit at different moments. Just didn't feel that at all tonight with Cam Murray. He was just selfless in everything that he did. And once again, the hooker, the 13s, the guys playing as middles, they just let Mitch Moses dictate terms as a good halfback should. And he did a tremendous job. Before I move off New South Wales, I just thought as well, the defense of Mitch Moses. Missed 3 or 4 tackles, but like I think he came up with 3 tackles that forced errors on Tommy Dearden as well, the man that he was marking. It was really good, Mitch Moses, and I'm just so happy for this guy to have this big performance. It's fantastic to see. He deserves it. He's worked very hard at his game over a long period of time, and I'm just absolutely stoked for him. Outside of that, anything else for the New South Wales Blues? I feel like I'll tell you what, Jake Trbojevic. Now, Gerbo played about the first 25 minutes. He then came off the field, and as you know, guys, I'm obviously doing this live as I go, and there's no breaks here for me. So he came back on in the 71st minute. So sort of when the game was done, to be fair. And you know what? I still don't disagree that in that game, a big part of him not coming back on was because of how it all played out. Maybe this was Madge's plan. Maybe he could just feel that when they were on the front foot in this game, he was better off to leave the guys out there that he had that were just going through the middle. Maybe it is his plan to only play Gerbo for 20, 25 minutes. And you know what? Like, is it a little bit unorthodox? Yeah, sure. But like being a captain it's not all about the 80 minutes as well. I think we need to reflect on what the New South Wales Blues have done with a new coach coming in and whatnot. They've gone into game 1. They looked really good to start the game, apart from a few poor kicks. They looked like they were well and truly in that game. A player then got sent from the field. But, I mean, we all walked away from that going, fuck, New South Wales showed more ticker than what I've ever seen before. Who personifies ticker? Jake Trbojevic. They come into this game and they are up and about. The culture's obviously been good. They're down 1-0, backs against the wall. They stand up. They play tough. They blow them out early. They defend incredibly well until the second half once the result was sort of done. You know, I think that a lot of people are going to write off Jake Trbojevic. I think they're going to write him off very quickly and say, 20 minutes, you shouldn't be in the team. What the fuck? But I think you've also... shout out to Remember the Titans. Attitude reflects leadership. And the attitude in New South Wales Blues at the moment is fantastic. And I think you saw when Gerbo wasn't on the field, like just because he's not on the field, I don't think it really impacts them all that much. You've got Isaiah Yeo there who stepped up as a leader straight away. You've got Cam Murray who stepped up as a leader. Mitch Moses was dictating terms. Like I understand why people will criticise the decision to give Gerbo the captaincy and whatnot, but I mean, here we are. We lost game 1. We had a player sent off. We had our back against the wall in game 2. We just came up with one of the most dominant performances we've seen from a Blues side in quite some time, outside of 2021 when it was fucking touch football. I mean, I think you got to give him some credit, Gerbo. I think that the impact he's having on this side and the attitude that the side's showing, I think you've got to give some sort of credit to the captain. So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Gerbo. And look, I'll be the first to say, if Cam Murray was available for game one, is he the captain? He probably is. But the way it's played out is that Gerbo was there game one. He was the best choice for captaincy in Madge's opinion, and he's chose to stuck with him. Cam Murray's time will come, or Isaiah Yo's time will come. But at the moment, this is Gerbo's side, and he's got them to a decider up there in Brisbane with them at the moment having the hot hands. So, yeah, we'll talk about it more during the week, and I'm very keen to hear what Timmy, Matty, Kempy and Piercy as well, who was on the Bloke Show tonight. I'm very keen to hear their thoughts and have a little rundown with them. But, yeah, look, the New South Wales Blues, really happy with the performance. It was fantastic. There is just, like, I want to enjoy this tonight. I want to enjoy the victory and really lap it up. But there is also the reality that if we go to Queensland and we don't win that game, it is all for nothing. It is quickly forgotten. It's all about who lifts the shield at the end of the day. You don't look back at Origin Series and go, geez, that team did play well in game 2, though. It all comes down to game 3. This is where we wanted to be. We've earned the opportunity to go to Brisbane and try and pull their pants down. I think we've got the advantage at the moment. Granted, Queensland were probably the better side in the second half. But, you know, we couldn't have asked for much more. We're going to game 3. It's a decider. No one got injured tonight. Nothing really went wrong. I know Hamiso picked up an injury. We'll get to Queensland in a minute, but he seemed to come back on and seemed okay. So hopefully all 34 of these guys get through the next couple of weeks and they are all good, ready to go. Hopefully everyone that's out is available and back, whether it be a Nathan Cleary, a Selwyn Cobbo, or Tom Trbojevic, whoever it might be. Hopefully all these guys are fit, available, ready to go. And yeah, fantastic performance by the Blues. Absolutely loved it. Let's get to the Queensland Maroons. And look, I'm going to start. I've seen a lot of criticism of the referee online, and I don't really get it. Did the Blues maybe get the rub of the green in certain points? Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, fine. There was a couple of moments I thought that Luai probably should have got penalised in the second half for his shot on DCE. I thought in the first half, though, which realistically, that's where the game was lost. Yeah, the game was lost in the first half. It didn't. I don't think what happened in the second half overly mattered. The game was lost in the first half for the Queensland Maroons. The New South Wales Blues won it in the first half. And I saw a lot of people say, "Oh, the penalty count. The Maroons didn't get a penalty until the 30th minute." Yet no shit, they didn't get a penalty until the 30th minute. They barely had any ball, and when they didn't get any momentum. They didn't generate any ruck speed. The New South Wales Blues dominated them for that period, and I mean, like, I'm sorry, like the better team got the 6 agains because they had momentum and Queensland were trying to slow them down. I mean, this obsession that people have with, the penalty count's uneven. Of course the fucking penalty count's uneven. What do you expect every single game to finish with a penalty count of 8-all? One team's going to be better than the other. That's why we have results. That's what sport is. I don't know why people criticize referees when penalty counts aren't exactly dead even. Like, I can never understand or make sense. That's what makes sports so great, is that you have teams that are going better than others. They've got to rise above, some under-deliver, some over-deliver, whatever it might be. Like, I don't really understand that argument. And yeah, it doesn't shock me that Queensland didn't get a penalty until the 30th minute because New South Wales absolutely blitzed them in the first 30 minutes. Queensland hardly had any ball. New South Wales they were either scoring tries or forcing repeat sets. And when they had the ball, they were clearly more dominant than the Queensland Maroons. I don't think there was any second guessing that whatsoever. They were generating so many more meters in their sets. It was not even funny, and it was not even close. I understand Queensland fans are upset and everything, and I've been in that position. Don't get me wrong, I've been in that position and had the shits on many occasions, heaps more than you guys. But I'm sorry, if you think Ashley Klein decided that game in the first half, you're fucking kidding yourself. The better team was dominating, as they should have been, and just because penalties aren't even doesn't mean the refs deciding the game. The better team should probably dominate the penalty count because they're dominating possession and they're dominating the momentum through the middle, which the New South Wales Blues were. So I don't really want to hear any of that bullshit, and I don't think it's necessary at all. But yeah, I'm keen to hear what other people's thoughts are. I'm keen to hear, as I said, Timmy, Kempy, Matty, Piercy, what their thoughts are on it and whatnot, and everyone else's takes. But personally, I didn't think the referee decided that game in any way, shape or form. I thought the better team was the dominant side. And it didn't shock me that they dominated possession, momentum, and the penalty count early. Let's get to the Queensland Maroons. And look, the first half, they were just absolutely shell-shocked. It was It was a tough watch. It really was for the Queensland Maroons. I mean, for me, it wasn't. It was fucking fantastic. But I imagine for Queensland Maroons fans, very un-Maroons. Like, I feel like this has happened on a couple of occasions, though, where you dust us in game one, then game two, the team that lost in game one really stands up and has a big performance. It means more to them. And I know that, like, the Queensland Maroons players and Billy Slater will never say it, but I think there is always part of you that goes, okay, we have got a second chance. We have got a parachute on our back, which is a home game in Brisbane. So I think that subconsciously you always know that, whereas you come to this game and New South Wales Blues going, we have to win this or we're going to Suncorp for a whitewash, and that's the last place you want to be. It's backs against the wall. I think it was very evident in that game. New South Wales did want it more. I thought the play that really summed it up, and I'm the biggest Reece Walsh fan in the world, but there was a play there where Jerome Luai, and I think it was Brian Toto's second try, I want to say, there was a play where Jerome Luai went down and his boot came off, and I don't know why, but we stopped the game of origin for 45 seconds so Jerome Luai could put his shoe back on, which was wild. But in that time, Mitch Moses was on the right-hand side of the ruck, and you could see Reece Walsh was lined up with him, as a good fullback should be, lining up with the guy that he thinks is going to kick the ball in that play, and with Jerome Luai playing the ball and putting his shoe on for 4.5 minutes. That was where he should have been. And then you see Mitch Moses make a late switch. He comes down the short side, gets the ball, puts in a kick, and Reece Walsh missed his assignment by so far on that play. I couldn't believe it. Reece Walsh, who is normally Mr. Energy, Mr. Energetic, I thought that play there and the effort that went into that play and even the concentration that went into that play, I thought that really summed up the Queensland Maroons night. And I thought that play by Reece Walsh just showed a lack of intensity. And I personally thought it represented everything that the Queensland Maroons were in this game, unfortunately. And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you who's one fullback that I never, ever saw get caught in that position. It was Billy Slater. I'll tell you who's one fullback that I never, ever saw get caught in that position in the Origin arena or in the Rep arena was Billy Slater. He will be absolutely filthy with his fullback over that play, and I imagine I personally don't think that'll be I think that'll be the last time you ever see Reece Walsh have a play like that in Origin, because I think Billy Slater will sit him down and they'll watch that and he goes, if I ever see this again, that's Kalen Ponga's jersey, because that's not what Billy Slater's about. It's not what the Queensland Maroons about, and it's not Bram Walsh either. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Reece Walsh. As you guys know, I absolutely love him. I think he's going to be a star for a long time in a game. I think he's going to dominate the Origin arena for a very long time. And I think Reece Walsh was a little bit rattled in this game. I think, the Blues said during the week, we're going to fucking come after you. And they certainly did. And I do think he got a little bit shell-shocked in this game. They came after him. I think that play sort of showed that his confidence was a little bit rocked. So yeah, keen to see Reece Walsh. He returns home to his backyard in game 3, take on the New South Wales Blues. He knows what's coming his way. Realistically, it's not going to get worse than that. He knows how bad it can get. I'm expecting a really good game from Reece Walsh in game 3, and I'm just excited to see how this young star bounces back from that, because that's probably the first punch in the face he's really had in the Origin arena. The Origin arena will have plenty more for Reece Walsh. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. But I feel like he's never really experienced that in Origin before. And this is where Slater really has to go to work and get this kid ready and get him back up for game 3. Personally, I don't think it'll be that difficult. I think this kid's got the memory of a goldfish, which I absolutely love. I think he'll put that one in the back pocket. I think he'll move on to the next very, very quickly. And I'm expecting a good bounce back from Reece Walsh in the next game. Look, outside of that, I don't know. There was just... They just didn't compete. They just got blown off the park early. So it's sort of a hard game to analyse, to be honest with you. Would I make changes to the Queensland Maroons side? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Slater does. Does the pick and stick method, does it hang in there? Does he make changes? I'll probably have to sit down and watch this game again during the week to really take in, who defended poorly and whatnot. I was sort of wrapped up in watching the New South Wales Blues. But, just having a look through the stats, a lot of missed tackles. Val Holmes, 6. Murray Tuolungi, 3. Tom Dearden, 3. DCE, 4. Ben Hunt, 4. Lindsay Collins, 5. Sewer, 3. Jeremiah Nanai, 5. Harry Grant, 4. A lot of missed tackles in this game, as you would expect. When you get done, 38 points to 18, you're down 34-0 or whatever it was at halftime. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, the names that will come up, Dane Gagai is one of them. You go into Origin 3, you might need someone to mark up against a Stephen Crichton or a Latrell Mitchell. Is Dane Gagai the guy that has been there, done it time and time again? Does he maybe get a call up? Could we see Val Holmes potentially fall on his sword? It'd be a very big call, but, mate, Slater's no stranger to making big calls. Slater said himself during the week he doesn't think that Dane Gagai's job in Maroon is done, that he thinks he will play for the Maroons again in the future. Game 3, it could be the call-up for him to come in for a Val Holmes maybe. You got a Selwyn Cobbo who could come back into this side as well. I don't think Cam Munster's going to be available for Game 3. I don't think he'll be back just yet. So I think DC and Tommy Dearden are the obvious choices. I think he will stick with both of those guys. As far as the forwards go, I mean, fuck. Dave Fafita, do you have to start to consider him? Is Slater the sort of guy to bend on what he's done in the first 2 games because they're in a decider? Has Dave Fafita, ticked enough boxes for Billy Slater? Like, I still don't know which boxes he hasn't ticked, to be honest with you. But has he ticked them? I don't know. And if he hasn't, just Slater fall on his sword. It's going to be a really big test for Slater. He finds himself in a really, really tough position here. I know that his Queensland Maroons have a history of just getting up for those Game 3s. But even when Slater was playing, I don't feel like we ever saw a game like that from the Blues when Slater was playing, to be honest with you. Like, even in 2014, like, we just hung on by the fucking skin of our sack and we just found a way to get it done. This game was dominant. We really powered over the Queensland Maroons and we were the dominant team in just about every facet of the game, which you don't see very often. Going up to Suncorp is obviously a huge test, but I don't know. Just the body language on guys like Latrell Mitchell, Mitch Moses, Spencer Leniu, Angus Crichton, Stephen Crichton, Payne Haas. I don't know. I feel like this Blue side, I think they'd be quietly confident within themselves. So it's a big, big test for Coach Billy Slater and what he does. Obviously, you had the injury to Hamiso, which wasn't ideal. Kurt Cable obviously had to jump out in the centres for a period of time. Hamiso did come back on. He obviously scored a try late and had a hand in a few late with some nice touches. But, I wonder, does he stick with, Felice Kafusi played 11 minutes in this game. Kurt Cable played 37, maybe because this game was done and dusted and it was gone. He didn't bother too heavily. I'm not too sure. The Paddy Carrigan sin bin probably fucked up with his interchange a little bit as well. And when you are down 38 points to 18, I think similar to game 1 with Jake Trbojevic, is Felice Kafusi the guy that's going to come on and sort of break it open? Probably not. I'm very, very intrigued to see what Slater does in game 3. Personally, I don't think he'll make a heap of changes. I don't think he brings Dave Fafita back in. I think he's every chance to bring Dane Gagai in. I think Selwyn Cobbo's every chance to potentially come in for game 3 as well, maybe off the bench for Kirk Capewell as well. Jermaine Hopgood, we're hearing that he'll probably have to go for surgery, so you'd have to assume he's not going to be available for game 3, unfortunately. So Queensland find themselves in a really interesting spot. I thought Jaden Sewer, it's pretty hit and miss tonight. And I would argue probably more miss than hit. Ran for 100-odd metres, 3 tackle breaks. I felt like he had a couple of errors in there, though. 3 errors for Jaden Sewer. You can't be doing that. Jaden Sewer's got this in his game, unfortunately. Do you make the call to bring Dave Fafita in for Jaden Sewer? Do you make the call to start a Felice Kafusi on an edge? Do you make the call to start a Kirk Capewell on the edge? You obviously had other guys like Trent Leary and whatnot that are in this squad. So they've got options. They got plenty of options that they can go with Queensland. I'm just keen to see which one Slater takes. And look, we'll take a deeper dive into game 3 over the next few weeks. It is hard with Queensland when they perform the way they did. They were dog shit. There's really no other way to put it. This was a really disappointing and dismal performance that I did not see coming from the Queensland Maroons. And realistically, they were poor in game 1 too. I know they won and the scoreboard was impressive, but they were poor in game 1. And Billy Slater said that himself. It's not really my opinion. That's what Slater said himself. And I think that was pretty evident to all people. I think even, the most biased Queensland fans could say, you guys didn't play your best game in game 1. This was definitely not your best game. So Slater hasn't got anywhere near the best out of this squad so far. Game 3, Suncorp. We know the Queenslanders get up for this one. We know how much this means to them. But I don't know. I'm just feeling a breath of fresh air in this New South Wales Blues side, and I feel like we're not giving Queensland the respect that we usually do, and I really like to see that. And I think we're going to have to, live on the edge of the sword. I think we're going to have to take them on. I think we're going to have to push the envelope. I like tonight that there was a bit of push and shove. I love that we just said, "Fuck you, we're coming for you." I love that when that ball went down to Reece Walsh, just pushed Reece Walsh to the ground. I love that we got in their faces a little bit, and I know it's not the most PC thing. It's not what, parents and whatnot want to see in the game. But I just love the Blues came in with that attitude of, no, fuck you. Fuck you. We're going to game 3. We're going to try and pull your pants and we're going to do everything we can. And I love in that first half. I know it didn't quite play out that way in the second half, and the Blues probably went away from their game a little bit, but I loved how ruthless they were in the first half. I was just waiting for the momentum to stop for Queensland to get into it. And, one of my favourite sayings that I've used over the last few weeks is, when teams are drowning, good teams put a hose in their mouth and help them drown. I feel like the Blues in the first half really did that. Coming out in the second half and sort of continuing with that momentum was always going to be tough. I would have rather see them do it, don't worry. And I think it is some confidence that the Queensland Maroons can take out, because I think they won the second half 18 points to 4. So it definitely is a positive that Queensland can take out of that game, the second half. But yeah, heading into game 3, I'm feeling quietly confident. I'm very keen to see what Slater says post-game. I'm very keen to see what changes he makes. I'm very keen to see how those Queenslanders come out for their club teams this week. They'll be hurting, looking for big performances when they go back to represent their clubs, as will the New South Wales boys, but the Queensland boys in particular that are hurting. Origin, I think Phil Gould's favourite line, there is no finish line. And, in a 3 weeks' time, Wednesday night, we're going to have the decider to crown the champion of 2024 when it comes to Origin. And I just feel like it's going to light a new fuse all over again. So, yeah, how good. Origin 2, fantastic for New South Wales Blues. Pretty disappointing for Queensland, no doubting that. But they have been in this position on a number of occasions where they get, beaten in game 2 after, beating us in game 1, and everyone's going, oh my God, New South Wales, so impressive, so impressive. Then you go to Suncorp and just go, bang, welcome to our fucking backyard where we get to play our footy, we get to play our style. It gets to be paid at our pace. They will probably get some calls that'll go their way, as you do when it's your home game. So big test in front of the New South Wales Blues, a huge, huge test. They'll probably have their own decisions to make. Personally, I don't think you can make any changes to that side. But if you can squeeze a Nath Cleary in, if you can squeeze maybe a Tommy Turbo in, maybe you do consider these guys. But, man, I don't know if I'd be making any changes to that side. A Keon Kolomantangi could maybe force his way in, maybe off the bench. Maybe he'd be more handy than like an Ola Kawatu at the moment. I'm not too sure. But Ola hasn't done anything wrong to get himself out of this side. So, yeah, plenty of questions will be asked over the next couple of weeks. But, yeah, a very good performance by the New South Wales Blues. I am absolutely stoked with how it played out. Very, very proud of the team, the boys. Very proud of my state, which is great to see. And, yeah, hopefully we can go up there in game 3 and really give it to Queensland and hopefully win, but just put on a cracking game because, man, the storylines going into that, it's going to be unreal. Latrell's going to go up there. He's going to be public enemy number 1. Jerome Luai, Mitch Moses. I thought that those Panthers boys had a fantastic game tonight. And they'll come in there with a lot of energy. They'll come in there very pumped, very confident. And I'll tell you what, if the Blues start well in game 3, fuck, we've got a game on our hands. We have got a serious game on our hands for Origin 3. Guys, thank you for joining us once again. It is about 1 a.m. or so I am going to hit the frog and toad. I am exhausted. A huge night of Origin football. Thank you for joining us once again. You can tune in on the podcast. The video will be up on YouTube probably tomorrow morning at some point. I'll work it all out. I'm half in a daze at the moment. But thank you for joining us once again, guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Neds, our rapid review of Origin 2. Brought to you by Neds, our partners in crime for season 2024. So make sure you head over to the Neds app, download it, make an account, go and follow the Rugby League Guru profile, the About Even profiles, all the boys, Tommy Birmingham, Eddie Simpson, all those lads from About Even, the show I'm on there with them, and follow along with all of our bets every single weekend, and especially in game 3 as well. Obviously, guys, all prices are subject to change on there. T's and C's apply and are available on the website. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website